She drained my bank account, so I took everything she loved. My name is Darren, and for a long time, I believed that love could survive anything: poverty, pressure, even betrayal. But I learned the hard way. When someone you trust stabs you in the back, they don't just take your money, they take a part of your soul. It started with a woman named Alina. I met her when I was at my lowest. I had just come out of a grueling breakup, lost my job during a company-wide layoff, and moved into a one-bedroom rental over a noisy corner store. My savings were dwindling, my confidence shot. Then came Alina, graceful, magnetic, wild. She was the kind of woman who made you forget your pain just by looking at you. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party. She wore this red silk dress that made everyone stare, but she only looked at me. Said I had a quiet fire in my eyes. Said she liked men who were rebuilding. Said she could help. 3 weeks later, we were inseparable. Alina moved in fast, too fast maybe. But when you're lonely, you don't question love. You welcome it. She brought energy into my space, reorganized my kitchen, cooked breakfast barefoot in my shirt. I was working freelance gigs, trying to climb back, and she was always there, supportive, sweet, until the money started coming in. I landed a remote tech contract with a US firm. $8,000 a month. Not mind-blowing, but enough to breathe again. I told Alina we'd be okay now, that I'd save, maybe invest in something. She smiled, kissed me, said she was proud. But slowly, things shifted. Alina started making little comments about my cheap taste, about how her friends were traveling the world while we were stuck in this shoebox. Then came the shopping. It's just a few outfits, she'd say, waving off the $500 charges. You work so hard. Let me spoil myself a little for you. I wanted to say no, but I was weak, afraid to rock the boat. I let it slide. One day, I checked my account and noticed $2,200 missing. Another day, $3,500. Then a $7,000 wire I definitely didn't authorize. When I confronted her, she didn't even flinch. She sat on the couch with a glass of wine and said, "You're acting like it's your money. We're a couple. What's yours is mine, babe." I laughed, nervously at first. "You took thousands, Alina." Without asking. She rolled her eyes. "You're just mad because I'm doing better than you now. I built you. You'd still be broke and sad if it wasn't for me." I felt the blood drain from my face. That night, while she slept beside me, I opened my laptop and pulled every statement, every transaction. She hadn't just stolen from me. She'd been sending money to someone else. Another man. Some guy named Sergio in Ibiza. I snapped. But I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I smiled. Because I knew something Alina didn't. You don't burn a man who once had nothing. He knows exactly how to survive without you. She thought she'd destroyed me. She had no idea what was coming. I spent the next week pretending nothing was wrong. Alina woke up to coffee every morning. I let her keep using my card, kept pretending I was too tired to check the statements. She thought she'd won. She called me soft behind my back. I overheard her once while she was giggling on the phone in the kitchen. "He's like a little puppy. Doesn't even notice what I'm doing." She thought I was a fool, but I was documenting everything. Screenshots, statements, her Instagram stories, where she flashed designer bags and tagged #gifted. The late-night transfers to Sergio's Spanish bank account, some labeled as emergency travel, others as rent or loan. I compiled a full timeline. Every dollar, every lie. Meanwhile, I did some digging into Sergio. Turns out he wasn't some charming entrepreneur like she claimed. He was a washed-up DJ/scammer who'd been banned from several clubs for stealing gear and stiffing bar tabs. He had a history, and I found his old arrest records through a friend who worked in private security. I planned carefully. First, I changed all my banking info and froze the joint account she'd pressured me into opening. She noticed 3 days later. "Why is the card not working?" she asked, waving her phone at me. "Bank flagged some suspicious activity," I said with a shrug. "I'll call them Monday." She bought the lie, like she always did. That night, I hacked her phone. Not in the high-tech sense, just guessed the passcode. It was 0407, her birthday. She wasn't exactly subtle. I downloaded every message, every photo, every bank login. Then I uploaded it all to a secure folder under my control. By then, I had evidence of wire fraud, identity theft, and emotional manipulation that would make any lawyer salivate. But I wasn't going to the police. No, that would be too easy. I wanted her to feel everything she made me feel, Powerless, blindsided, used. But I wanted to do it smart. I wanted it to last. So I made my move. One Sunday morning, while Alina was out at brunch with her influencer friends, I packed every valuable item she hadn't already pawned off. I didn't steal it. I owned it. The MacBook? Mine. The TV? Mine. The minimalist couch I paid $1,800 for because she said it was aesthetic? Definitely mine. I called the landlord. Told him I was terminating the lease early. My partner's been stealing from me. I need out. He sympathized, said he'd refund my deposit in full if I cleaned out the place. I said I'd be out by nightfall. Before leaving, I did one last thing. I changed the Wi-Fi password. Deleted her iCloud backups. Factory reset the iPad she loved. Wiped the shared Google Calendar. I left a printed note on the empty floor with one simple message. You're free now. So is everything you stole. Hope Sergio's couch is comfy. Then I vanished. No calls. No messages. I ghosted her like she'd ghosted my trust. But that wasn't the end. That was just the start of her unraveling. Alina's meltdown started just 12 hours later. At 2:03 a.m., my phone lit up with the first call. Then came the barrage. 16 missed calls, 32 text messages, for voicemails. All within the first hour. I didn't answer a single one. But I listened. In the first voicemail, she was confused. Darren? Where's the couch? Where's the TV? What the hell is going on? By the second, she was angry. You can't just leave. This is illegal. You took him my stuff. Then, the panic began. Babe, I messed up, okay? Please, just call me. We can talk about this. I didn't reply. The next day, she tried using the card again. Declined. Then another. Then the joint account. Frozen. She posted a cryptic Instagram story. Some people are fake as hell. You think they love you, but they're just waiting to watch you fall broken heart #lessons #betrayal. I chuckled. The irony was delicious. But I wasn't done. Remember Sergio? I created an anonymous email account. Sent him everything. Screenshots of her messages about him. The transfers. Even a video of her mocking his washed-up career. She'd recorded it in my apartment one night, drunk and laughing, not knowing I'd installed a security camera in the living room after noticing things were disappearing. I titled the email, "She's Playing You Too," and hit send. 3 days later, Alina posted again, this time crying in a car, mascara smeared, mumbling about fake people, lies, and how people she trusted sabotaged her life. Turns out Sergio dumped her hard. Publicly. He even commented on one of her posts. You used me. You're not the victim. Everyone knows now. I wasn't done yet. I hired a lawyer, not to press charges, but to send a cease and desist along with an invoice. An itemized invoice. Every dollar she spent. Every designer bag. Every dinner she charged. It was thick enough to be a novel. The letter said if she didn't pay or return the stolen funds, we'd take civil action. Her name would go public, along with screenshots and full documentation. I knew she didn't have the money, but I didn't want it. I wanted her scared, humiliated, exposed for the manipulator she was. That same week, I got a message from her mother on Facebook. A long apology. Said she didn't raise Alina to be like that. Said she was devastated and didn't know what to say. I didn't respond. Alina started messaging mutual friends, crying that I'd ruined her life. Said I'd trapped her, that I was abusive, that I brainwashed her with kindness. One friend, a real one, called me. She's spiraling, man, he said. Talking wild. Nobody believes her, though. Everyone saw how she changed once you got that money. You were the calm one. I just laughed. She stole from me, lied to me, tried to replace me. Now she was watching the world move on, without her. But the final blow? That was still coming. Weeks passed, and Alina's desperate attempts to claw back control became more erratic. One night, as I was working late in my new apartment, the doorbell rang sharply at 11 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. I peered through the peephole. It was her. Alina, looking disheveled and frantic, holding a small duffel bag and a half-empty bottle of vodka. Her makeup was smudged, eyes bloodshot. I debated whether to open the door. Part of me wanted to slam it shut and never look back. But another part, old instincts, maybe guilt, made me unlock the chain latch and crack the door open just a sliver. She pushed her way inside before I could say anything. Darren, please. I messed up. I know I did. But I'm drowning here, she slurred, swaying on her feet. Her vulnerability hit me like a punch. But the anger, years of betrayal, was still fresh. "Alina," I said quietly, "you stole from me. You lied to me. You ruined us." She dropped to the couch, tears spilling. "I'm sorry. I was scared. Losing you. Losing everything." Sergio left. I have no one. I sat opposite her, silence filling the room. Then she did the most devastating thing. She said, "I never really loved you." It wasn't a cry or a whisper, it was cold and flat. I froze. Why? I managed. Because I loved what you had. Money, stability, hope. Not you. That sentence tore through me, deeper than any theft. But I'd already decided what I had to do. The next day, I quietly listed her car, a sleek black Audi A4, in the classifieds. I priced it just below market value and sent her the link. She called me, panicked. "Why would you sell my car? That's mine." "Is it?" I said. "Remember, it was registered in my name. You stole my money. I'm selling the collateral." "You can't." I smiled coldly. The car sold within 48 hours. Without a trace. I wired the money to a charity supporting victims of domestic fraud and emotional abuse, just to rub salt in the wound. When she found out, she went ballistic. Threats, accusations, insults flooded my phone for days. But I stayed calm. I even posted a status on social media, just one line. "Sometimes the best revenge is living well without you." People took sides. Some called me cold-hearted. Others admired my restraint. But no one knew the full story, and I was about to make sure they never would. After selling Alina's car and turning the proceeds into charity, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. The woman I thought I loved was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized, and someone who had stolen from me in the worst way possible. But Alina wasn't done playing her games. One chilly Tuesday afternoon, I got a call from a private investigator I'd hired discreetly a few weeks earlier. I needed to know if she was trying to rebuild her life somewhere else, or worse, if she was still draining money from me through hidden accounts or friends. The PI had tracked her down to a small apartment in the next city over. She'd moved out the week after the car sold, living with a guy who seemed sketchy, but not Sergio. "What's the plan?" I asked. "Simple. I'll keep watching. If she tries anything, you'll know first." That night, I sat in front of my laptop, sipping whiskey and scrolling through old photos of us. Her smile looked real. Her eyes, full of fire and something soft. For a second, I almost believed she had loved me once. But then I remembered the lies, the theft, the betrayal. That's when I realized something else. I needed to take control, not just of my money, but of my own story. I started writing a blog, not to shame Alina publicly, but to share my journey, from heartbreak to healing. I wrote about trust, betrayal, and how money can twist even the strongest relationships. I didn't mention names, but the pain was clear in every word. And people listened. Comments poured in. Messages from strangers who'd been through similar betrayals. Some offered advice. Others just said, "Thank you for being honest." One comment caught my eye. "Keep going, Darren. You're stronger than you know. Don't let her define you." That night, I decided to take a step further. I contacted a local charity for victims of financial abuse and offered to volunteer. I wanted to give back, to turn my pain into purpose. Meanwhile, Alina's sporadic attempts to reach me slowed. Her social media accounts went dark. Her new boyfriend's profile disappeared. It was like she was fading out of my life for good. But revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes, it's about reclaiming your power. And that's exactly what I was doing. Months passed, and life started to feel like it was moving on without the constant shadow of betrayal hanging over me. My blog grew steadily. I even started speaking at local meetups about financial abuse and emotional manipulation, sharing my story, not as a victim, but as someone who found strength through the storm. The healing wasn't linear, but it was real. Then, one late afternoon, I received an unexpected email. The subject line read, "We need to talk, Alina." My heart pounded. Part of me wanted to delete it. Part wanted to see what the woman who broke me had to say. Against better judgment, I opened it. The message was short. "Darren, I'm sorry. More than you can imagine. I was lost, selfish, and afraid. I want to make things right, if you'll let me. Meet me at the cafe on 5th and Main tomorrow at noon." I stared at the screen for a long time. Could I forgive her? Could I even face her? Curiosity and the need for closure won out. The next day, I sat at the corner table, watching the door. Alina walked in, eyes wary but genuine. No makeup, no flashy clothes. Just a woman who looked like she'd been through hell. We talked. Really talked. She admitted everything. The lies, the theft, the manipulation. She blamed her childhood, her fear of abandonment, the toxic relationships she'd endured before me. None of it excused what she'd done, but it explained it. Then came the moment I dreaded. "Can you forgive me?" she asked, voice trembling. I hesitated. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself. "I'm not sure," I said honestly. "But I'm trying to move on. I hope you are too." She nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. We parted that day not as lovers, but as two broken people trying to heal separately. I left the cafe feeling lighter, ready to close that chapter for good. But life had one last twist in store. Weeks after that tense but honest meeting, I thought my life was finally on a steady path. I was focused on my work, my blog, and rebuilding my trust, not just in others but in myself. Then came the call that shattered my fragile peace. It was my lawyer. "Darren, there's a situation with Alina. She's been served with a lawsuit." "What? For what?" "She's been accused of defrauding a new business partner. It looks serious. The evidence points to her misusing funds, just like before." I sat back, stunned. Alina's past had caught up with her. Part of me felt vindicated, like the universe was balancing the scales. But another part felt sadness. Sadness for the woman who had hurt me, yes, but who was now trapped in a cycle she couldn't break. Curiosity got the better of me, so I started digging. Public records showed she'd started a small consulting firm 6 months after leaving my life. The client who filed the lawsuit was a startup owner claiming Alina siphoned off thousands for personal expenses. It was the same pattern, same lies, same betrayal. I debated whether to step in, to help, or to watch from the sidelines. But then I remembered the pain of having someone use you. No, this time, I wasn't going to be collateral damage. Instead, I reached out to the plaintiff's lawyer anonymously with my own evidence, messages, bank transfers, proof of her behavior. If Alina wanted to rebuild, she had to face her mistakes fully. The lawsuit went public. It was ugly. Alina's reputation crumbled further. I wasn't involved in the court proceedings, but I watched the fallout with a strange mixture of relief and sorrow. In the middle of all this, I realized something profound. Revenge isn't just about punishment. It's about justice. And sometimes, justice is about letting the truth come out, letting people see who someone really is. For me, it was the final step to closure. With the lawsuit making headlines in the local business community, Alina's world crumbled faster than anyone could have imagined. Her social media vanished completely, her phone disconnected, and even her closest so-called friends stopped answering her calls. It was as if she'd become a ghost overnight, invisible and isolated. One afternoon, I received an unexpected message. No name, no details, just a photo of a worn-out journal with a single line written inside. I lost everything because I never learned to value what I had. The handwriting was unmistakable. It was from Alina. My first instinct was to ignore it, but something stopped me. I replied simply, "What do you want?" Her response was raw and honest. "Closure. Forgiveness. I don't know if you can give it, but I need to say I'm sorry, truly." The next few days were a quiet exchange of messages. No accusations. No demands. Just two broken people trying to find peace. Then, one evening, she wrote, "I've started therapy. I'm working on myself. I want to make things right, not with money or words, but with change." I realized then that revenge had transformed into something else entirely. Not hatred, not punishment, but healing. And as much as I wanted to protect myself, a part of me wanted her to succeed, to finally break free from the cycle that destroyed us both. I told her, change is the hardest road to walk. But if you're serious, I hope you find the strength. She didn't respond for days after that. Sometimes silence says more than words ever could. Months rolled by, and the distance between us grew, not just physically, but emotionally. Alina's journey toward healing was slow and jagged, just like mine had been. One day, I received a message from a mutual friend, Nina, who'd stayed on the sidelines the whole time. "Alina wants to meet. She says she wants to make amends in person." I stared at the screen, heart pounding. After everything, could I face her again? I thought about the late nights, the stolen money, the heartbreak, but also the quiet moments of vulnerability in her messages. In the end, I said yes. We met at a small park bench under an ancient oak tree, the kind of place you go to reflect and forget. Alina arrived quietly, her eyes scanning the horizon. She sat beside me, neither of us speaking for a long time. Finally, she whispered, I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want to say, I'm sorry. For everything. I looked at her, the woman who had shattered my trust and taken so much from me. Alina, I said slowly, what you did hurt me deeply. But holding on to that pain won't fix anything. She nodded, tears glistening. I'm trying to be better. For myself, for the people I hurt. I took a breath, the weight of years lifting slightly. Then keep trying. That's all any of us can do. We stood up and walked away from the bench together for a moment. A brief peace between two people scarred by the same battle. Sometimes, revenge doesn't have to end in destruction. Sometimes, it ends in acceptance. Life didn't turn into a perfect fairy tale after that day. There were days when the past crept in, whispers of betrayal that still stung. But with each passing moment, I felt lighter, freer. I focused on myself, my work, my friends, and the small joys I'd forgotten along the way. I traveled, met new people, and rebuilt my life on my terms. Alina never came back into my world beyond that park bench. She disappeared into her own journey, and I respected that. One quiet evening, as I was closing my laptop after finishing a new blog post titled, How I Turned Betrayal into Strength, I received one final message from her. It was a simple line. Thank you for teaching me the cost of trust. I hope someday I can repay it. Not with money, but with honesty. I didn't reply, because some debts aren't paid in words or cash. They're paid in lessons learned and wounds healed. In the end, I realized that the most powerful revenge wasn't taking back what was lost. It was reclaiming my peace. And no one could steal that from me.